So I was looking at the news this morning about Donald Trump, and I literally had to stop my workout. Literally stopped mid-set. You see, we've been hearing rumors about tariff checks for months now. We heard maybe next year. We heard if the budget allows. But yesterday, President Trump didn't just double down on the $2,000 checks. He put all the chips in the middle of the table. He previously announced $2,000 stimulus checks, or as he calls them, dividends, targeting mid-2026. But that's not the headline. The headline is how he plans to do it. Trump was asked if he needs approval for this money. He says,
with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of, income limit where it made sense. But we will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Now, in 2020, under COVID, Trump sent out checks. In 2021, Biden sent checks. Did they go to Congress? Absolutely. They had to get the House and the Senate to vote on an appropriate bill. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution says, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. In other words, the power of the purse belongs to Congress, not the president. But Trump is saying, no, this isn't tax money, this is tariff money. He's framing this like a company dividend. He's saying, I'm the CEO. We had a good quarter with China and Mexico, so I'm cutting a check to the shareholders. Basically saying, I don't need Congress. I made this money myself. And it's brilliant marketing, but is it legal? Because if he tries to bypass Congress, what happens? Nancy Pelosi, whoever is running the show now, Schumer, Jeffries, they're going to sue immediately. They're going to say, you can't spend revenue without us. And they would win unless he finds some obscure loophole in the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 or some emergency power that says the president has discretion over tariff funds. But that is a massive stretch. But play the politics for a second. Let's say he tries to send the checks. He signs the executive order. Here's $2,000 for every American family. And then the Democrats sue to stop it. What do you think the headline is going to be? Bingo. The headline is Trump tried to give you $2,000 and the Democrats stopped him. He doesn't even need to send the checks. He just needs the fight about the checks to happen right before the midterms. It's 4D chess. He wins if he sends the money. He wins if they stop him from sending the money. We need to look at what this actually is, because headlines are one thing. The math is a totally different story. And I love math. Math doesn't lie. People lie. Politicians lie. Oh, but math tells the truth. So as a tax strategist at keepmost.com, let's break down this $2,000 check. Where's the money coming from? Is it inflationary? Is this 4D chess, or is this just buying votes for the midterms? And most importantly, what should you, the person watching this, do about it? Okay, let's look at the claim. The president says, we are making so much money from tariffs, from China, from the EU, from Mexico, that we are going to give a dividend back to the shareholders of America. That's you, the citizens. He says mid-2026. Now, I will speak in a second on the logistics of this, but first, let's just do basic arithmetic. So, if you had to guess, what's the population of the United States? Roughly 340 million people. Now, let's say they do this. Let's say they don't give it to the rich. They cut off the top 10%. Fine, let's say 250 million people get this check. Adults, maybe some kids, whatever. 250 million people times 2,000. That is 500 billion with a B. Okay, now let's look at the revenue side. The president is saying this is funded by tariffs. We're taking in billions from China. Okay, great line. I love the negotiating leverage here. But let's look at the Treasury report. Last year, total custom duties, tariffs, brought in what? About 80 billion under the old rules. Trump ramps it up. So maybe we hit 200 billion. Maybe if everything goes perfectly, we hit 300 billion. So viewers, help me out here. If I'm running a business and I tell my investors, hey guys, good news. We made 250 million in sales. So I'm going to pay out a 500 million dividend. What happens to my company? Well, you probably would respond with, you're bankrupt, Karan. You're done. And this is the classic losses make you a winner government math. Look, the deficit right now is already nearly $2 trillion. So if you bring in 300 billion in tariffs, which is a huge assumption, by the way, because imports usually drop when you tax them, and you pay out 500 or 600 billion, the gap there is 300 billion. Where does that come from? It comes from issuing more T-bills. It's inflationary. And this is what drives me a little crazy. The media is going to run their headline, Trump gives you money. CNN is saying it's irresponsible. Fox is saying it's a brilliant rebate, but nobody asks the question, what is the incentive here? Why mid-2026? Why not now? Why not last year? I have a question for you all. What happens in November 2026? The midterm elections. Bingo. It's the keep the House and Senate stimulus package. That's what it is. Is it a bribe or is it politics? And look, I'm not here to judge the morality of it. I'm here to judge the strategy. If you are the CEO of America and your approval rating is fluctuating and you have these controversial tariffs that are making iPads and sneakers more expensive, the people are feeling the pinch here. Inflation is ticking up because of the tariffs. So how do you make it right for the customer? Well, you give them a rebate. You give them cash back. And remember the velocity of money. If they drop this cash in June or July 2026, people spend it when? In August and September. The economy looks hot in October. Voters go to the polls in November, feeling a little rich. But let's talk about the danger here. We spent 3 years fighting inflation. Jerome Powell raised rates, and everyone started to feel the pain. Housing market froze. Small businesses, my guys, the entrepreneurs, they couldn't get loans. Now things are just starting to stabilize. Jerome has lowered the rates a couple of times so far, and you want to inject $500 billion of funny money into the system. Here's my prediction. If this happens, you're going to see the price of everything go up again. You get 2,000, but guess what? Used cars go up 500. Rent goes up 100. Groceries start to creep up again. But hold on, because there is another side to the story. Because I also talk to the everyday people, the guys waiting tables, the guys driving Ubers, and they don't really care about macroeconomics. They don't care about T-bills. They see $2,000 and say, finally, I can pay off my credit card. Or finally, I can fix my car. So isn't there a valid argument that this is better than sending 500 billion to some other country? And that right there is a very strong argument. And that is the argument that wins elections. But unfortunately, politics don't get elected on fiscal responsibility. They don't get elected on we paid down the debt by 2%. They get elected on here is a check with my name on it. And Trump is a marketer, arguably one of the best we've had in politics. He knows that if checks hit mailboxes in July 2026, the Republicans hold the Senate. It's strictly a business move here. And at the same time, it's a trap for the Democrats. Because if they block it in Congress, what does Trump say? I tried to give you money, but Schumer and Jeffries said no. You know, if we was playing chess, this is what we would call a checkmate. He puts the ball in their court. If they pass it, he takes credit. If they block it, he blames them. Strategically, brilliant. Economically, maybe it's disastrous. Look, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a like. It truly helps this video to reach more people. My name is Karan, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.